Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back once again to Last Minute Kickout. I am Pete Titans Creed Nevercoat, joined as always by my cohorts in crime, one Mr. John Turbo Finley.
Hello there.
And one Mr. Kevin, the Kevin Eva.
Hi. I've just spent 2 hours yelling about fictional horses. My throat is kind of screwed.
Today we are the greatest commentary podcast team talking about the not so great Royal Rumble that just happened in Saudi Arabia. Oh my god, it was boring. Very, very boring. A 5-hour show with nothing but boring.
Saudi Arabia, the showcase of the monies.
The showcase of no women. Yeah. Okay, I mean, we'll get the initial controversy out of the way. There were obviously no women at the event due to the rulings in place with how women can do. WWE are hoping that they can change that down the line. We don't know that. Sami Zayn wasn't allowed to compete at the event because of the Syrian descent. And
Was he not allowed, or did he choose not to? It wasn't politically clear.
in addition to the women, wrestler Sami Zayn did not participate in the event. Zayn is of Syrian descent, and Saudi Arabia had strained relations with Syria. I think.
Yeah, I'm sure that was probably more happening than Sammy saying, "Nope, I don't want to go to the event."
Sammy would gloriously wrestle given the chance. I just think he got told no.
Conversely, Mojo wrestled, and he's half Syrian.
Oh well, there you go then.
He's half Syrian. I read he was half Syrian, half Palestinian.
But, yes.
Okay.
It was a very boring event. Very fast matches out of the way very quickly with what felt like a lot longer Royal Rumble. It only ended up at about an hour and 17 minutes. And each match was, I think the shortest on the card was like 5 minutes and the longest was about 16 minutes.
Was it really?
Yeah.
That Royal Rumble felt like it went on for years.
The Rumble felt like it went for a good 2 hours.
Well, it really was like, what if WrestleMania was a house show?
It felt like a really long version of Raw, and Raw is really long on its own anyway.
That's probably the perfect way of putting it.
A really long version of Raw?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because for those who obviously didn't see it, I did a full-on live reactions of the event, of the whole 6 hours. Things like the 1 hour kickoff show that didn't need to happen in any way, shape, or form because there was no matches on that kickoff show to entice anyone to actually, get the network and see the greatest Royal Rumble. It's like no, like didn't have to be there, and the preceding 5 hours afterwards. Yeah, I would definitely agree that there was only fleeting moments in that I had general interest with, but overall, yeah, it was very dull. A lot of people, well, some people will probably think we're all just gonna say, it's a glorified house show. No, it's not a glorified house show. It's a over glorified Raw show.
Yeah, I'd agree. It's just a glorified Raw, is what it was, and the only reason they could call it a pay-per-view in any way, shape, or form is because it had SmackDown titles on it, of which none changed hands anyway, and the only belt that got given to someone was given to the only team on the appropriate brand anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, ignoring the pre-show entirely, the first matchup was, of course,
it was a barnstorm at the start.
Yeah, we had.
I would have thought that this would have been a lot later on the card, but there we go. I'm gonna go out the gate with saying I'm glad that it wasn't an atypical American audience, based on the fact that we had just typical pops for seeing their favourite superstars, rather than the John Cena sucks. John Cena sucks. Oh, it's so boring. but then in comparison, the crowd were generally quiet until we got to, I believe, Styles and Nakamura, or take a reset anyway. But the crowd was very quiet until like the latter half of the thing. But
Yeah, this audience was more akin to the whole, we know these older people a lot more than these younger, kind of like talented, wrestlers and stuff like that, because they're, for the marketing stuff like that, it is pretty much like John Cena, Triple H, Undertaker. Those are the major kind of like faces that they know from past events and stuff like that have marquee value in the territory of Saudi Arabia, apparently. So they will obviously pop for those. Heck, even later on, obviously they have their kind of like own local talent, being showcased and whatnot. And it was mixed bag of reaction to their own kind of like local guys being given a spotlight and whatnot. But
didn't care. It's just like everybody that watched, I think, just didn't care. Yeah. But like Cena versus Triple H was good. It was just short for what you'd expect a Cena versus Triple H match to be.
Well, it was effectively a general house. I hate using the term house show constantly.
You can only call it a house show if there were promos to be done there, mate. That's the problem.
It's like there was nothing. Yeah, there was nothing building to this match. Obviously, it was just basically, let's just put these two.
Which is why I was very surprised that there were video packages for half of these matches, because you could tell, because there'd been no build-up for these things, that they literally turned around and took out voice clips over the last decade.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you could see it with the casket match, where it's just like, yeah, let's have a video package which focuses The Undertaker and casket matches. Okay, cool. I don't know. You could tell it was a very hastily put together idea. I think this has not been something that's been planned out properly. And if it was, it probably should have taken the spot of a normal pay-per-view, maybe.
Yeah.
But in a year where they've turned around and gone, we're going to remove half of the pay-per-views, streamline them back down again, because obviously it's too much for everybody. We're wasting too much money to do double the amount of stuff. And we're going to streamline it down. Then we're just going to throw in the Greatest Royal Rumble, which is going to be a 5-hour pay-per-view.
Yeah, but for the match itself, obviously you had notable moments in it. What was it? Triple H getting caught on camera, giving even though he's supposed to be the heel in this match and whatnot, he just as John Cena was about to make his entrance, he goes to ringside and he interacts with some of the kids at ringside and whatnot, and it's like, yeah. Also, John Cena with his entourage of youngins in his merch. It's like the sea of puke, as I like to call it.
That'd be mean. Those kids might very well have been legitimate Cena fans.
But the t-shirts certainly were, if you agree with that, man.
Are there any colours left in the rainbow for John Cena's t-shirt?
Black for when he turns heel. He needs to go.
Yeah.
He's had whites. It's the only one that's left.
Yeah, I was gonna say beige. He needs to do beige.
He needs to be as bland as some of his offense.
But general thoughts on the match? We got 5 hours to talk about, but not 5 hours to go through it all. So
no, of course not. It was just by the numbers, kind of like spot fest. Like the whole power, struggle. It was like push shove. I'm stronger than you. Then reverse the situation and boom, I'm stronger than you and all that. And then really there wasn't, and the kind of like certain familiar spots, like John Cena doing his jump off the rope and Triple H doing a really shitty counter into a powerbomb. That was very bad. But no, John Cena putting Hunter down for the free count after I think it was like 2 FUs or
AA
AAs.
into a slingshot into another AA.
Yeah. So instead of the whole roll through kind of like move he's been using as of late. So yeah. But yeah, I wasn't too invested in the match. It was just.
There was a couple of good moments. Trips avoiding the 5-knuckle shuffle and getting his own 5-knuckle shuffle in was quite fun. As was Triple H being surprised by all the pyro that went off during John Cena's entrance with the fireworks in the sky.
Oh yeah.
There's just this shot of when it cuts back to him from John Cena's intro of him just going looking upwards and like going, I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember what that is. That looks good.
I totally forgot there was a lot more pyro in this event than there was at WrestleMania.
Entire year's worth of pyro for
Yeah.
WWE basically went off into this thing. You know, it's a decent enough match, back and forth. Each got their licks in, and it all rounded off, of course, with a big thank you promo from Mr. Cena. We thanked everybody for their opportunities that they're giving, and all the money they spent, and etc., etc. But it was a match.
It was a match, indeed. So we move swiftly on to the WWE Cruiserweight Championship. Cedric Alexander versus Kalisto.
So how about you, Fez? I really enjoyed this.
Yes, I did actually enjoy this as well. Both Cedric Alexander and Kalisto were quite on top form. Normally, Kalisto would be quite bad with doing several kind of like botch spots, but no, he did. He was on top form. He did a couple of good springboard moves off the ropes, as well as I think Cedric Alexander also did a couple of springboard moves as well. Most notably was I kept on forgetting what the move was called, but it was actually Spanish Fly done by Kalisto on Alexander, and he kind of like sat did a springboard set down on the top rope to go into the Spanish Fly, and that was very impressive. So, but no, the finish to that, Kalisto going for the Selena del Sol, but then Cedric Alexander, countering it into a lumbar check for the win.
Really nice.
It was really nice. So,
and that was apparently the commentary saying like the first time they've met in competition. If that's
a good possibility. Yeah.
If that's the case, yes, please, we'll have a program with those two. Thanks, because that was really, really good. Kalisto even got a really nice pop, actually. He got a decent enough pop, probably leftovers from John Cena and Triple H, but he, in comparison to some people later on, he certainly got a decent reaction when he came out. But for a first time ever meet up with some of the intricate stuff they did, I thought that was really good.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like it.
You didn't like it?
No.
Too much purple in the belt?
Too much Kalisto.
Too much Kalisto? Oh, it's not Kalisto.
I'm not a big Kalisto fan.
I know. I'm not a big fan of the lucha gimmick, because I think that's kind of insulting to an entire form of wrestling.
I mean, I just don't like him.
He does have that effect on quite a few fans, actually. He's one of those wrestlers that, for some reason, just manages to rub a lot of fans up the wrong way. For no one's really knows why.
I don't know what you want me to say. I just don't like it. Didn't like the match. Felt very short. Just wasn't interested. It's just me in a nutshell, really.
Moving on then.
Moving away from 205 Live. Actually, that was one of the things that I noticed about the match, because we had the hashtag 205 Live in the corner. And there's probably people tuning in to find out, thinking they're watching a very, very lavish production of 205 Live all of a sudden. Crikey, they've put a lot more budget into this thing. My goodness,
wow,
Vince's confidence after all.
So we move from the Cruiserweight Championship to the Deleter of Worlds versus the Bar.
Yes, the Deleters of Worlds versus Not Staying on Raw for the Raw Tag Team titles. In a massive shock, the team Not Staying on Raw did not win the Raw Tag Team title. We had a shout out to Abeyance from Michael Cole, which was. You know, he knows his wrestling history. Abeyance, one of the greatest champions in the history of all federations, as you know. But he called on his knowledge and had a shout out to Abeyance, which was nice. What was slightly eerie, considering, was Matt coming out with the deletes to absolute silence.
Yeah,
but again, the crowd was very quiet in the first 60% of the show. It really wasn't until Undertaker came out that they really started making
they perked up a bit when it was in the ring, but when he came out to the ramp and deletes it, it was just like nothing, and it was kind of awkward. But I don't know. What do you guys think about this match?
It was okay for what it was, but it was, again, it's pretty much just Bray and Matt doing what they've done on Raw. It just wasn't fun to watch. That was the problem with it.
I agree with that.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's just a case of the atmosphere there obviously didn't help. Because the best thing about, Matt and Bray's kind of like, gimmick now is obviously audience participation and whatnot. And without that audience connect there at Saudi Arabia, it just didn't work. So also, they need to think of a better finisher for themselves, because Bray Wyatt just picking up their opponent and then just dropping them, it's not working for him. What I would recommend him doing is picking them up the other way, like holding them in a kind of like holding the legs behind, and he's like facing behind them, and then he sits down and whatnot, and that'll be a little better. While Matt does the twist of fate. But no, yeah, they need to do a better finish for that, because just an elevated twist of fate with Wyatt just holding the legs and then dropping them.
If he held up the legs higher, so they were like more like that, then it would be more like a spike twist of fate.
Right.
That would be fun. I mean, the problem is they have to do something with the twist of fate, because they can't really do anything with Sister Abigail.
No.
And they also have to make the twist of fate more devastating, mainly due to Jeff, because of Jeff using it as like just a setup move for the Swanton, which I've always hated. Yeah. Like, not your move. It's your brother's move. Like, take the bomb. It's got enough going against you as it is, without you taking his finisher and using it as your own setup move to your finisher. Doesn't help. But yes, they won. They have secured gold. The expedition.
No, they have
procured gold. The expedition of gold is part 2, the truncated version, is at an end. I'd like to see him go after more gold, actually. Just take the SmackDown ones as well. Go on, might as well.
I really, really hope that it's not going to end up being the same thing that Wyatt Orton had, where we see Wyatt turn on Hardy for the sheer sake of it.
Probably. What was interesting though was on Twitter, with all the stuff going on Raw recently with the Miztourage, who are trying to find essentially new gainful employment. On Twitter, Bray reached out to them and said something along the lines of Warriors, we can show you understanding, let us fix you. So it's like Wyatt is. I like the idea if Wyatt is using Matt to build a new Wyatt family.
I really feel bad for Bo Dallas and the other one,
Curtis Axel.
because they deserve so much more than what they're getting. They really do. They always just seem like an afterthought just because they can't get over themselves, which is really annoying.
Look at Mizdow.
Yeah.
Indeed.
From one Hardy to another, we go to Jeff Hardy defending his title against Jinder Mahal.
Before we get to that, Michael Cole actually made a really good point.
Oh my god. You've gone from hating on Michael Cole to...
He made a really good point in the commentary, which completely stumped Graves and Saxton, which is like, okay, what do you call Sister Abigail now?
Yeah, Sister Abigail's kiss thing, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's like, what do you call it now? It's like you shouldn't be that anymore. But yeah. But yes, from that to Jeff sells more. I've put it in my notes. Jeff sells more merch right versus the Canadian. Wow, this was awkward.
Indian.
He's a Canadian pretending that he's Indian.
Oh. I was wondering where you were going.
No. Yeah, he's we're ignoring the fact that he's a Canadian and we're building him as from India.
Gotcha. Didn't know that.
Which is why everyone finds it so really funny that he's the modern day Maharaja when he's like from Toronto or somewhere.
That's right, reformed in Canada. It's fine.
So yes, this one had some interesting things. Jeff came out again to a good pop though.
Yeah.
Everyone started waking up.
I don't remember anything of note happening in this match.
Oh, there was the whiff in the wind.
Oh, there was that. There was that botch.
The most wonderful sight of Jeff doing a whisper in the wind to Finn Air and then Jinder's selling it like a champ. Oh dear.
You've obviously watched Jeff and Matt on TNA when they have the whole gimmick. Now, they're obviously trying to do the Brother Nero thing without him being in full Brother Nero thing, because they're doing the backstage interviews and they're with both of them, and it's obvious that it's there and they're doing it specifically, but Jeff's still in Jeff land rather than in Brother Nero land, but is answering to everything that's said to Brother Nero and doing it in the Brother Nero voice. And what's your thoughts on that? Do you think that they should have just kept them together and just did the whole broken thing?
They were never going to do that, and it builds to a nice story later on, because it almost feels like, because of that disconnect, it almost feels like that Jeff's putting on a bit of an act when talking to Matt.
Mm-hmm.
So when Matt's saying, because for those of you who don't know, there was another, like Pete said, there was another backstage sort of skit post match where Matt interrupted Jeff and it was actually very funny, actually, as it's always with these. But I like the idea of Jeff being Jeff, and then having those interactions backstage, and then maybe over time, Matt coming to the conclusion that Brother Nero isn't Brother Nero anymore. It's like or disagreeing with stuff that Jeff does, and it's like, where is my brother? You have become an obsolete mule like the rest of them. And then maybe you can have the Hardys turn against each other, and then you could do the Jeff into Brother Nero, but within WWE.
Yeah. That
you had in TNA or Impact, I should say. But they were always going to go with Jeff makes us money. Well, because that was why I said Jeff sells more merch, right, in my notes, because the whole thing has always been, well, Jeff sells more merch. Does he? Now?
No. Probably not anymore.
No. So they might have to rethink this strategy of them, because its whole point is that Jeff's more marketable, and it doesn't look like that at the minute. As a man who has a Hardy shirt or two, Mr. Turbo, I saw that the other day on Twitter.
Yeah.
I think you mean yes.
Yes, I am very woke myself. I am.
He is woke.
All in with
his
the
wallet is obsolete.
Yes.
Yeah, my credit card gets deleted. Yeah, I mean, in terms of like going back to the match and whatnot. Yeah, the match was very meh. I wasn't too invested with Jeff and Jinder Mahal. It was very boring. Plus, I think it was quite short anyway, so. It just didn't really gel with me. I really didn't care, and I knew Jeff was gonna win anyway because, of course, Jinder is on Raw and Jeff is on SmackDown. So,
indeed.
So, yeah.
And from one really quick match of 6 minutes and 10, that match was, to another really fast squash match, being the fastest match on card. The Bludgeon Brothers versus the Usos.
The Usos did get some interaction with their call-outs to the crowd. I had as soon as we had Jimmy or Jay go, ooh, I honestly thought there was going to be nothing. But they seemed quite surprised by the the volume of the "so" back to them. Oh, hello, we've gone to 2. There he is, he's reappeared.
I don't know what you heard me up to, but yeah, no, they did it for a couple of extra times, didn't they? The whole Uso chant.
Yeah, they did quite well for them.
Tried to push their luck.
But yeah, the Usos came out. Cole made a reference to Juice and Domino in 2018.
Yeah, I heard that.
It's like
Thank God I wasn't paying attention to some of this.
No, it was like the last time that the SmackDown tag team the tag team titles associated with SmackDown specifically had been defended outside of America. It was like 2005 or something, and it was Juice and Domino against London and Kendrick, or 2008 or something. It wasn't that. It was a long time ago that happened. Turbo, anything that you remember in that match of note?
No, not really much. I mean, I was noticing that the Bludgeon Brothers was quite dominant in the match, as they would be, and really I knew that this match wouldn't really take into effect of what happened on SmackDown prior to this, where Naomi's being part of the angle there. So really, they're gonna be waiting for that
Naomi
backlash.
Who is Naomi? This is woman incognito. There is nobody called Naomi. You
do not know of this, Naomi.
You do not know of this.
So yeah, I kind of knew that obviously this wouldn't really matter too much in the end. So I just wasn't really too invested with it. So yeah.
I mean, it's worthy to note that they haven't announced a tag team title match for Backlash yet, so we'll probably see something on Raw and SmackDown because neither belts have been announced for the actual pay-per-view yet. Backlash is only a week away when we're recording, so it will be interesting to see what's coming down the line.
Yeah. I mean, presumably they'll have like a number one contenders match, or they'll just fling something at the screen for Backlash.
I have a feeling we're going to be heading into some sort of ladder match for the tag titles.
You mean the match we should have got at Mania?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it at Backlash. Why not?
Indeed. And speaking of ladder matches, the Intercontinental Championship match between two people from SmackDown and two people on Raw. Finn Balor, Seth Rollins, The Miz, and Samoa Joey.
Samoa Joe. See, I missed that Samoa Joe had been added to it.
He just
So I missed all the promos leading up to this. So I literally just like came in and was expecting whatever, and then Samoa Joe was there. And I was like, oh.
It's really weird because you've got a match that's set up on Backlash, which is Roman Reigns versus Samoa Joe, and I'm like, well, Samoa Joe's got a chance to win the Intercontinental Championship. Roman Reigns has got a chance to win the Universal Championship.
What if?
What's going to happen? Like, what? Because I don't think Brock's going to be at Backlash. I don't think so.
Probably not.
No, he's not. He's not. No, not with the current contract he has.
What, is he just turning up on the Big Four?
Well, no, they can contract him to whenever, but they basically pay him a ridiculous amount of money.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, it's like over 600,000 per match,
Cool.
and
I'm looking forward to...
was it 300, just over 300,000
For an
per
appearance.
Hey guys, do you remember when we actually had a top tier title which, meant something?
Yes, it was the Intercontinental Championship,
Yeah.
and it was on Miz. That's a top title on Raw, isn't it? That's what I remember seeing.
Yeah.
There's that red thing that the man with the equally red face comes along and waves around occasionally, but I think that's just some sort of cosplay kit.
Might be. I'm very tired of a heavyweight title belt that's not on the actual show. Like, they're trying so very hard at this moment in time to make the product feel like the Attitude Era, where they've got so many big guys at the top of the rung, but they haven't got a belt for these big guys to actually fight for on the big pay-per-view. Like, you can tell they were going to try and do that with the Royal Rumble. Like, cast your brain back to Royal Rumble 2001. You had an interview after every match with random, like, top-tier competitors that were in the Rumble that everybody thought had a good chance of winning. You had interviews with The Rock, you had Show, like, all the big guys. And they started doing it with Jericho, who did an obviously good stint on this one. It was like, they could have just kept doing that. All these big guys. But A, the Rumble had no fucking reward, which we'll get to in a minute. And B, where was anybody else to get interviewed for this thing? They interviewed Jericho. That was literally it. And now we've got literally a belt which is going to be off the product again for God knows how long. I assume he'll drop it at some point, because otherwise he's going to have fucking Bruno Sammartino levels of keeping the belt for 3 years plus.
Well, we need to take that record off of Punk. So the modern day mark off of Punk, we need to do that so we don't talk about Punk anymore.
So when does that? When exactly?
Not long. Not long at all.
Yeah, apparently, what was it? If Brock holds it past June, somewhere mid-June, he breaks the modern day record. So, effectively, he probably drop it at SummerSlam.
Right. So.
I mean, it's not like they haven't done that before when wanting to get rid of records. See,
Yeah, well, they do.
Bella. Bella, Nikki.
Apparently, they want to come back as well. Did you see the news on that?
What
Both
those?
both the twins want to come back.
Yeah, don't blame them on that.
But yeah, let's get back into this. Where were we? Talking about an actually good ladder match.
Yeah, I actually enjoyed this one. There was really good work with the ladder. Joe was at top form. Balor and Joe having that kind of like interaction again from their NXT run. Seth was really good, and Miz was very decent as well, trying to be like, yeah, he's the Miz. He also had a really good pyro entrance as well, like getting fireworks for his Hollywood points and get a good elevation. So good for that. What was it? I can't really think of any notable spots, but like overall, I was just invested with this. I was, into it. But the finish to it was very interesting, because what was it? Balor was on the ladder. He was about to get the title, but then Seth just comes out of nowhere, springboards from the ropes onto the ladder, and then quickly gets up and gets the belt. And in his hastiness, I can't believe this happened.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah. Seth dropped the belt right onto Balor's face, and his right eye got cut open from one of the side plates on the title belt, and he was just start bleeding from there. Oh my god.
My problem with the finish was that it was grade A. It took way too long to climb the thing, so you obviously knew Balor wasn't going to win it based on that. And then, while Rollins being very acrobatic to get up there, the ending where he just like climbs up a couple of rungs and just quickly undoes it in Balor's face makes Balor look incredibly weak. Incredibly weak.
It was one of these It was one of these ones where, because you're so used to everybody getting by like minute 7, everybody's half dead and he's incapable of climbing a ladder without going like this. For actually to have someone just go scramble, scrabble, grab feels very alien. And I agree with you, Pete, there, actually, that it didn't do Balor any favours at all, not to mention getting a belt in the face.
But I will give the spot credit, because the last person who did a springboard onto the ladder and tried to either get up or even hold onto the ladder was Ricochet at NXT TakeOver this last month, or this month. When he landed on the ladder, it collapsed. Yeah. This ladder, however, stayed put, which was good. Because if it collapsed and whatnot, that would have made things a lot bad. But no, it was like Seth was able to, I don't know if it was just a case of the ladder just being sturdy and whatnot for it not to, fall or whatever. But
this goes to a follow-up match, Backlash in a week of Rollins versus The Miz. Which obviously we know Rollins is going to win, because they're not going to do a quick hasty thing where they put 2 belts on SmackDown. Two mid belts on Raw. I can understand if they're going to introduce like what NXT have done a North American title, and have 2 mid card titles on a 3-hour show. I can completely understand that. That would give the guys a lot more to fight over. But unfortunately, it's just going to be Seth Rollins is just going to keep winning it. Until they get through, I assume, which is going to be this current card for Daniel Bryan and Big Cass, which has come out of fucking nowhere.
Yeah.
Whatever the fucking I know. Let's work on all this heat of what we built up of The Miz versus Daniel Bryan for the good part of 16 months. Bring it back. Get The Miz to fight that. No, let's get Daniel Bryan to fight Big Cass.
But I like how they've done it. I like how because that is indeed what everybody wants, and from WWE's point of view, it's like, why on earth would you give that immediately? It's much better that Miz came along and and suddenly Daniel Bryan's got this problem with Big Cass, and for Miz to actually go on the mic, oh, what a shame that happened, and being the utter slimy asshole that the Miz character is. And because the whole point was like, he's not going to get away with it anymore. He's going to get his comeuppance. And you put them in a position where he can get his comeuppance. And, oh no, I've accidentally got out of this. And now Brian has to deal with this other fella. What a shame he can't deal with me. So I quite like, actually, the fact that they've done that. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not going to do Brian any favours in terms of, hey, let's deal with this big guy who's still kind of green, I think.
I don't think it's going to do the story any favours at all, because you could have gone straight into it with a large amount of gusto, but they've gone into it and it's just going to fizzle. Because what's going to happen? The only way I can see that storyline actually continuing is, I don't know, for Brian to uncharacteristically call out Mrs. Small Child. They have a toddler war, and then it gets over that way. I don't know. How does the Miz and Brian get back at each other while Miz is off fighting for an Intercontinental Championship against another brand, and Daniel Bryan's fighting against like in a David and Goliath situation?
I still think that the whole situation would be a lot better if Miz was still Intercontinental champion, because the Intercontinental Championship is the symbolic thing that Brian keeps having to give up because of injury, and if he wants to he has to go through Miz, because then it's like the ultimate redemption for him is getting the Intercontinental Championship back, and then Miz is in the way, and then you've got the two battling over it, and Miz wants his legacy, and Brian doesn't like the idea of Miz having that legacy.
That would actually make a lot of sense.
So we're not doing that.
No.
So we're getting Big Cass in. That makes more sense.
Look, just fucking end this garbage of what we're going to talk about in the next match. This garbage of Shinsuke and AJ and what they've turned that into.
Captain Cock Punch.
Mate, he doesn't punch the cock. He's trying to wrap his arm round it.
He does a forearm. He does like a shoulder barge into the.
It's like fucking anal punch rather than dick punch.
He caresses the taint with his upper arm.
AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura to a double count out, which, do you know what, I'm actually going to agree with, and it makes the best sense in a storyline capacity to do, but fuck me. 14 minutes 25 to a double count out. And it's not even like they did enough damage to knock each other out, they just kept fighting on the outside.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, granted, what was it? Some people were saying that this was better than the WrestleMania match that they had. Not really. Even though Shinsuke is the heel here, and he did get his, swift underarm in their spot in there, and of course that didn't help in winning the title either. So, and it just all that action to lead to a double count out definitely didn't help, because I actually thought Shinsuke would actually win this one here to make if they were going to change one title change hands on this night, I would have thought it would be the WWE Championship, like they did before, back when AJ and Jinder Mahal fought on that UK SmackDown show, and then give AJ the title there. That would have been a big news story and whatnot. Another overseas title change and whatnot.
WWE had enough faith in the pay-per-view to do a championship changeover at it, which is why the only ones that were given were fucking vacancies.
Yeah.
Can't have vacant holding that championship for too long, can we? Otherwise, he'll have the longest title reigns. It was okay as a match. It was fine. It's just
the finish. Yeah, it wasn't good.
It's just going to lead into a third match.
Backlash.
Which is going to be, I imagine it's going to come off the back of this, and it'll be like an I Quit match or a no DQ match, or something with like a limited rule set where no one can get disqualified, no one can get counted out. It's going to end up being something stupid. And that's
no rules, last man standing.
And Shinsuke will win it via dirty means that way, because it can't go to a third match where Shinsuke's just been doing dirty shit and it not be Shinsuke's thing. If it does go to a special rules kind of thing and Shinsuke doesn't win it, then they have no faith in Nakamura to hold that belt. Is what they're saying.
Speaking of dirty shit, what do people think of the new version of Nakamura's music?
You cut out there. New version of Nakamura's finisher.
Yeah, Nakamura's music. What did you think?
Fucking dog shit.
I agree.
Absolutely.
Not a fan at all.
Please don't put rap lyrics over that. You've tried it with a 2001 fucking album, 2000 album, and there was like 2 good songs on that, and that's because they were already in existence. Fuck me, don't do that again.
Actually, well, obviously I have to be the black sheep here, and I've been okay with it. Shut up. With myself, I've actually been re-listening, and of course, because it's in Japanese lyrics and whatnot, it obviously fits Shinsuke's character and whatnot. It's like, and of course, Corey has said on commentary that obviously because he's put lyric, his theme has now lyrics in it as Japanese lyrics. It doesn't give people the opportunity to kind of like.
Yeah.
Harmonize and sing along with this theme.
That's the one thing I do like about that, because it's a very heel thing to do, to take away the audience interaction. And that bit I like.
That's literally the point. You don't want to have your heel be over with the fans and have them do stuff. That's the entire point.
And I like it for that was the aim in doing it. But at the same time, I really don't like.
It's garbage.
I don't like what they've. I don't like what they've done with the remix of it, and I don't like what they've done with the particular way it's lyrics.
I hate it when they just rewind it back to the first chorus. Or whatever.
The loop in it just goes back to the chorus, and he just goes with the girl.
I haven't heard the clean version, like without the in-house lyrics. Like the non-live version. I haven't heard that one, but I don't like it. I think it's legitimate trash.
Well, I'm a bit I'm okay with it. I'm just a little more easier to. I'm not hating it, and I'm not. I downloaded it on my iPod, so I'm gonna keep listening to it, and
nothing wrong with liking something we don't. Nothing wrong with that at all. But it's
no. Me buying so many T-shirts from WWEshop.com is me being a mark. Okay?
We've got to keep 205 Live going somehow, John. Keep doing it. There's
what are people's actual thoughts on the match?
It was all right.
It was okay.
I get what they were doing with it.
Yeah.
It feels like it's the only match on the card that has built into any particular storyline.
Oh yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah,
and I only say that because literally the other heavyweight title match is leading into nothing because Brock's not going to be here for another 6 months. So cool.
He's got to spend the time hopping on the spot somewhere.
You're not wrong. So from one match to another, this one no fucking point to it other than to give Rusev a fucking high value opponent. Undertaker versus Rusev in a casket match. As we mentioned earlier on, there's not even a decent fucking video package for this because it's all about the Undertaker in a fucking casket match.
It's like, would you like to see the Undertaker? Yes.
I mean, this match has gone through so many connotations. It went from Rusev to Jericho to back to Rusev. That's how much they didn't have a fucking clue. Like, I don't understand. Like, you knew the minute it was Undertaker versus, you knew it was going to be Undertaker winning. Like,
well, of course it is.
Yeah.
Undertaker versus anybody at a specialist event, they're not going to do a shock, are they? Is it going to be?
Is it literally? Did Undertaker not make enough money off a WrestleMania payday for turning up and burying John Cena in 5 minutes? They had to go and bury Rusev in 10.
Is what the people who paid for the pay-per-view or paid for the event paid to see. We wanted an appearance from the Undertaker. We will throw money at it. And funny enough, we would like him to win because that's what we want to see. That's what the Saudi Arabian always wanted to see. And I don't blame them on that. But we had the Bionic Redneck, Bionic Dead Man we've got now, versus the heir to Zack Ryder's misfortune, which also known as Rusev. And so I quite weird to show how obviously Pete said about how the crowd really livened up when Taker came along. Obviously, there was a really weird bit which I've never seen before, and yet as the audience you kind of go for, which is that Taker reaching for his hat got a big pop. Okay, it was all really loud, and then he went for then he took the head and went for the hat, and there was like, he's gonna do the hat thing, and he actually paused doing it. Like, was that me? And then did it, and went, which was great.
Can I ask your opinions on when Aiden English did Rusev's entrance? And
yes.
Going to get to the normal Rusev Day pop. Did that Rusev Day pop feel like it was a pumped in fucking stadium chant? Because it felt like a normal one. Like it felt too American. If you know what I'm saying. It felt like it didn't feel like it was the crowd.
I think that so the reason I think I might agree with you on that, Pete, is because we'd had sort of some silency bits, didn't we, and some odd reactions with the crowd. When it came to actually AJ Styles versus Nakamura, AJ got a very nice pop, which he did do, which was legitimate. But in the run-up to it, when AJ was coming out, they were doing something. Because this is like for the third pay-per-view in a row, if you count this as a pay-per-view, the third big event in a row, they really stuffed up the audio. And we had like multiple channels going at the same time, which was a bit out of sync. And we had that Mania, and we had that at the one before that, but like Payback and all the other. And it just felt like they were messing around with something just to try. And it might well have been that they were trying to boost it up a bit and give it a bit more atmosphere on the actual broadcast.
Yeah.
It just felt like
I did.
It felt like it was a manufactured pop because everyone expects it, and the crowd had been dead pretty much up to that point. It didn't feel like it'd be something they'd shout for.
It was so weird. But yes, Taker took off his hat, and and the action of taking off his hat pinned both of them. And anyway, no, it was there was a scary tombstone.
Yeah. Aiden English is a tall guy. I was a bit worried when I saw his head hit that man.
Yeah, he kind of bounced on his head, and it was like, oh. And he's since said that he's fine, and what the hell are you guys all talking about? But at the same time, we were like, you bounced on your head.
It's because he's a tall.
It was very close.
Yeah, he's deceptively tall, and for once, because Taker's normally like really, really good about that in terms of being able to tell like where they are in relation to his knees.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. I mean, pile drivers have always been only certain people are allowed to do them because they're trusted with it ever since the Austin thing a long time ago, Austin Hart thing a long time ago. So. I think a lot of viewers, especially smarky ones, were like, his head is going to touch that mat before Taker even went down. You could just tell just by looking at it. And then you watched it bounce. It was like, because you're worried because Aiden is a tall guy compared to a lot of people on the roster. Like you wouldn't see Taker try that with fucking Big Cass or anybody like that because they're just way more muscular. Aiden's a lot lighter frame. It's going to be easier to do it with, but it's still very scary to watch. Like, and even though like Aiden's obviously going to let Taker do it because he's trusted to do it, it's still scary to watch, knowing what can happen off of that situation if it goes wrong.
And you look at it, and when you see it, actually happen. And Taker's sort of holding him in a normal position, and it's just that he is just deceptively long in the torso more than anything else, which is somewhat unusual. So, but yeah, but there was some nice. It was like a. In terms of Rusev, actually, I'll tell you what Rusev did have. He had a lot of offense.
Yeah.
Yeah, the match here was a lot longer than the Mania match earlier in the month.
Rusev is better than Cena.
Yeah.
It is official.
Look, the only thing we can hope for off of this is that Rusev is not on SmackDown this week, doesn't make an appearance at Backlash, but comes back after Backlash with new music to better symbolise the Rusev Day stuff, and goes on a proper bender for the heavyweight belt. Is all we can hope for at this point. Or, United States maybe, Jeff Hardy versus Rusev.
I would say United States.
But I want Rusev to go for the big belt. Like, I want him to be a contender for the big belt.
Well, in that case, then the Nakamura needs to win it at Backlash then.
Why?
Because they need to have Rusev as a face, get him into a face role, and you need to get a heel champion, and then have Rusev chase the belt from a heel
You know why
champion.
I think they won't do that? Is because then it's two
Because obviously
foreigners.
that's a popular opinion, but yeah.
No, because it's
so-
two. Then you got two foreigners.
Yeah.
In the American audience's mind, if they're Canadian or Mexican, it's fine because North America. But if it's two people, neither of whom are American, going for the, I don't see them going into it for a lot of base wrestling fans in America.
I think what SmackDown really, even Raw to some extent, because there's more talent on there, is they need more bodies in that position that they can go. We're all gonna vie for the title at once. We're all gonna push, and we want try just scrambling and going look, land of opportunity. Yeah, he's had his. Where's mine? And then get them all to fight and push each other out the way to do it.
Well, it's that sort of mentality and that sort of idea that got Rusev into the Mania match.
Yeah.
So it'd be good if they continued that. And hey, maybe they can do something with the top 10 and have Rusev start dominating the top 10, and then be like, "Where's my shot? If I'm the best, if I'm supposedly the best on the brand, why am I not getting these opportunities?" Because then it falls on Paige to presumably actually go, yeah.
Anyway, moving on.
Brock Lesnar with Paul Heyman. Roman Reigns, steel cage. When that cage came down and they circled that camera, I knew someone was going through a side of it. I knew it. I felt it in my heart that it was going to happen. And then the finish, and then they even botched the finish.
Major botch number 2 for the evening was this.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
If you're going to turn around and cite that Brock touched it first because his feet hit the ground first, but then footage actually shows that Reigns' feet touched it first, come on, please.
Yeah.
Great Graves, you are better than that, and I know that's what you're getting piped into your ear muscle. But please.
They had to scramble, didn't they? They didn't do badly considering they did have to scramble because it was such a mess.
Yeah. Well,
They just
what was it?
They wanted something on the level of Valentine's Day Massacre, where it was meant to be left in limbo, essentially. Except that Valentine's Day Massacre wasn't left in limbo.
Well, clearly we needed to find Paul White, whatever Paul White's doing nowadays. I don't know. Has anyone seen Paul White? I haven't seen him anywhere.
He's still resting off an operation, isn't he?
I hear he's still in the wrestling business, Paul White. I don't know what happened to him, though.
yeah. He might have gotten a haircut.
We'll have to ask Big Show what happened to Paul White.
But no, I want to point out that even though I didn't like this match fully, I did like Paul Heyman's interaction with the match.
So in actual fact, what you're saying is that you hated the wrestling and you liked everything else about the match that wasn't the wrestling.
No, I just like Paul Heyman.
Let's be fair. There was no wrestling in this match. It was an F5, some suplexes, which could be considered wrestling,
And
then
punches.
and a spear. And fuck me, if we didn't have enough of that at WrestleMania. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
No, we don't. No, I'll have you know we only had 6 F5s at WrestleMania. There
I'd
is
like to
plenty of room left for some more.
I'd like to point out that this match was also shorter than the WrestleMania match.
Yeah, I completely agree with you though, Turbo. The best thing so far about this entire feud over the course of the last 3 years, let's extend it to that, in a battle between Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar, the winner of all our attention and care and whatever is just all Heyman.
Adulation.
Yes. The man who has single-handedly dragged this feud.
You know where this is going.
And now he's actually getting involved in the feud.
Yes.
I mean, he was
good.
He got involved in the thing where obviously Roman Reigns was about to go out the front door of the cage. What does Heyman do? He grabs the door, and then he also throws a chair in.
He China'd her. China'd him. That's what he did.
I remember, when I saw that, I was just reminded. I couldn't find the GIF at the time, but it just reminded me of just a panicked small child just running through away from something.
He's like, no, you don't.
But you know where this is going to go, don't you? Like this is going to go to a last man, and you can put me on record for this. If the next meetup at the next pay-per-view that these two have isn't a last man standing match, and then it's going to come to shenanigans where tables are going to be piled on somebody, and I guarantee.
I'm sure that's probably going to be the case, Pete. I'm sure it's going to be a last man standing match based on everything that they've tried so far.
Reigns match is going to be last man standing.
What we're going to do is they're going to. It's the only way they can possibly do it is they need to drill a hole in the foundations, throw him in, then pour concrete on top of him, and then they can come back in 10 years and he'll kick out. That's what will happen.
What is this, Roman or Brock?
Either or, possibly both. Dig them up and they're still fighting. F5s. More F5s. How many F5s have there been? Oh, I lost count of 100,000 F5s. 16 million suplexes. I've punched my entire fists away. They are no more. Just the bones of my arm now that I hit him with. They've worn away.
We move on to the namesake and go to the greatest Royal Rumble. What a fucking shit show.
I think you mean the Braun Strowman thank you for your effort over the last 12 months award.
Mr. Braun Strowman, we're going to give you your second bit of gold. You know, we'll etch your name on this trophy. We'll give you this luminous green fucking belt, which you won't be able to take. We'll essentially just call you the winner of the greatest Royal Rumble for the rest of your Raw tenure before you actually get something good or people forget. It's garbage. It's just like.
Well, I didn't know that Digi was such a wrestling fan and commissioned his own belt.
I'll tell you what, that there was a lot of people saying that using that belt summoned the Dragon Zord on Twitter, which I thought quite. I really liked that belt actually. I thought it was really pretty.
Really? I thought using the Saudi Arabia things as the side panels made it look like it was fucking weed on the belt. Is what it made it look like.
Well, it's the two crossed swords, isn't it? The two scimitars or whatever it is. As were the 3 scimitars in the trophy. Which that was massive, that trophy, damn. You're never getting that in your overhead luggage, mate, sorry.
I have a feeling that because WWE have called it the Greatest Royal Rumble 18, they've stated that they want to go back and do this again. Like, this is going to be a yearly thing in Saudi Arabia.
Well, based on their contract with Saudi Arabia, their 10-year contract, it's reported that that 10-year contract is worth $200 million, which is on average you're looking at 25 million per show or whatever, or less than that. It's high. It's like high numbers. So I would think that with that partnership for the next 10 years and whatnot, they are looking to make this a permanent fixture
That's
to
fine.
the calendar.
Make it a permanent fixture, but then fucking tie it in properly and don't have just this
Well, this is obviously just the first one. You
Mm.
know,
but-
it was like, I mean, granted, even the first Royal Rumble wasn't really established on the circuit until 1988, and they've had Rumbles beforehand. They had
Yeah.
the concept before they made it in '88.
My point is, how long has this been on the card behind the stage? This can't have been just we've signed it this month after WrestleMania.
Oh goodness me, no! This has been in the works for about 6 to 8 months minimum.
So tie it into the stuff. There was literally, you could have taken off John Cena and Triple H and The Undertaker and Rusev. You could have put decent matches and actually tied it into some sort of story. You know, if
you technically have this with the Rumble because technically you have something with Daniel Bryan and Big Cass because their backlash, even though obviously they were already having a storyline with their matchup to Backlash on the SmackDown shows, this match helped fuel it because Daniel Bryan he gets the consolation prize of having a record for a Rumble match.
He is the greatest survivor of the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, longest surviving member in a Rumble match. But Braun Strowman, he was lucky enough to get 2 records, not only winning this, but also eliminating the most amount of superstars in a Rumble, which was previously held by Roman Reigns, which everyone hates. So,
what do we think about how this works out in regards to the actual regular Royal Rumble? Because surely the greatest Royal Rumble, by its sheer existence, massively devalues the regular Royal Rumble just by sheer size and concept.
This is my other point. If they're gonna have the Royal Rumble give a guaranteed title shot at WrestleMania, the greatest Royal Rumble by its sheer stake should give a guaranteed title shot, if not at SummerSlam, and then the next pay-per-view. Like, what I'm saying is like, put this as the pay-per-view and Backlash spot, move Backlash back a bit, get rid of the shit named title ones like Great Balls of Fire.
That's gone.
Yeah, I know.
Oh yeah, that was gone ages ago.
There are loads of shit ones. You can just move Backlash back a spot.
Yeah, like Fastlane and
put the
whatnot.
Greatest Royal Rumble in its spot. You know, make it a proper pay-per-view so the storylines go somewhere. It's actually part of it properly, so we don't have this Raw, SmackDown, and then Backlash a week later. We're almost in the same sort of burnout that we're in prior to WrestleMania with all the pay-per-views anyway with this.
You could,
if you want to value it as a proper Rumble, give it a better stake than a shitty green belt on a trophy.
What if you make the greatest Royal Rumble, which shouldn't be called the greatest Royal Rumble because of the devaluation? You should call it something else. What if you made the winner of the green belt, as it were, if you had them basically win the title shot for SummerSlam?
Yeah.
So then you've got the 2 halves, and then it's the road to SummerSlam.
Exactly. I agree completely.
Because the
alternative.
Maybe that might be something for next time if they do this again.
If they do this again, you know what I would like to see. I wouldn't want to see it next year. I'd like to see it be something that they do every 2 years, and then have it like.
Yeah, well, you know that's not how it's going to happen.
Yeah, I know, but you could do it so that he's every 2 years you have that, and then you alternate it with a big world tour. Do something like the. Because didn't they want to do? Because there've been lots of talk about doing the global offensive or whatever it was, the one in Australia.
They wanted to do another WrestleMania revenge tour.
But they've specifically mentioned Australia as being something they want to do, as going back to Australia like they did in the mid to late 2000s. You could have that spot, and you can just alternate it between that and something else that you want to do as a big project pay-per-view.
But I mean, there are so many other things they could do, like the Survivor Series match. The winner, if there's a lone survivor in a Survivor Series match, you give them a title shot. because they deserve to be the lone winner for their brand. Like, I mean, that leads up to, they get that at Rumble. Rumble then leads into WrestleMania. Then you have the greatest one that leads into SummerSlam. And you just got to bridge that gap between SummerSlam and Survivor Series. Like, there needs to be, with the amount of caliber of superstars that they have right now and the amount of multi-man matches that they're seemingly pushing on our bloody doorstep because they have so much talent right now that they can't afford to get them all on single matches. They need to do this in some way, in my personal opinion.
It's weird, isn't it, really?
But yes. Any last thoughts, gentlemen? John?
Notable things. I mean, the Rumble match as a whole, times were fluctuating all over the place and whatnot, in terms of like entries and whatnot. Nice seeing a couple of NXT guys being featured in this match, including Roderick Strong and
Shock the system.
Yeah. And Daniel Bryan. Oh wow! I was hearing in the backstage video when he was talking to WWE.com. Roderick Strong was giving them all those bruises and whatnot. That was woof. Damn, they went at each other in that. And probably we might as well talk about it. What do you think on Titus O'Neil coming into the
He was
the
just
Rumble?
His performance from NXT, where instead of he was just trying to find that barrel again. That's all he was trying to do. Instead of carrying it around the ring, just lost it under the ring.
Two thoughts actually on that. Number one, he was very, very lucky indeed, because if you look at where he trips and goes under, but he goes under the perfect spot. If it had been a foot to his right, he'd have gone smack head first into the solid steel stand, and he'd have really, really badly hurt himself.
Yeah.
Point number two is that he has taken this in the absolute best way possible, which is to sort of joke about how it was all a plan all along, but go, hey, what do you think? There's going to be loads of merch made. I'm going to make loads of money out of this.
Yeah, so I'm just thinking, because of that, do you think he did that on purpose?
Well, he inferred that it was on purpose. On Instagram, I believe it was. He inferred that it was on purpose because he showed a photo of him earlier in the day, standing at that exact spot, more or less, in the daytime, and smiling to his camera. But I don't think he did, but at all. But the fact that he's acting like, oh, it was all planned all along, and I'm going to get a lot of merch money out of this is like probably the best way of actually looking at that. Because a lot of people were joking about Titus World Slide, for instance, as something that would be done.
Oh, well.
So he reckons he's going to make some money out of it anyway, which is good.
I was going to say, well, he's going to be in a lot of bank after this if he can approve some T-shirts and whatnot for that. So.
But yes, I think that draws an end to the short discussion on a 5-hour pay-per-view. Pay-per-view in air quotes.
5-hour show, we'll call it.
Marks out of 10, Mr. Kev.
Oh, God. That hasn't really twigged that I would have to give marks out. Which is silly, I know. Right, okay, so this is going to sound... This is going to sound a very, very harsh mark indeed, okay? It's not. I'm not giving this out in a sense of, this was a bad show. But that said, it wasn't a good show either, I think. I'm going to give it a 5.
Turbo?
I was actually going to agree with that. I was going to give it a 5. Because there was matches that I liked, but overall, it was quite a dull show. And and the 50-man Royal Rumble match itself, the whole highlight. I mean, granted, I was excited for Daniel Bryan getting to the going through the whole thing and being the Iron Man of the match, but overall, the rest of the card just didn't really gel with me much for it. So yeah, I'm gonna be in the middle, say 5.
What mark do you think I'm going to give it before I give you the mark?
3.
Before you do, at least 1 point of that 5. Okay, at least 1 point of my 5 is purely about Kevin Owens' reactions.
Jericho?
Especially to when Jericho came out and he just yelling at him, "Why don't you go back to Japan? Leave me alone!" I don't know. Are you gonna give it? Are you gonna give it 5 as well? Maybe
No.
a 4.
Yes.
A 4.
Good.
We can't have us all the
Thought
same
you'd
mark.
go
Such a thing would be unthinkable. But I can see why you would.
I hated it. It felt like the longest 5 hours of my life. And the matches felt longer than when I looked at the times for those actual matches, half of those matches felt longer than they actually should have been. I swear by the time the Rumble got to an hour, it felt like it'd been 90 minutes. Oh my god. 5 hours, man. It really I want at least 2.5 of those back, please. I want WWE to refund me 2.5 hours of my time. Thank you very much for watching and or listening if you've been on YouTube or on the iTunes feed. If you want to listen to us in your glorious ear holes again, there'll be a link in the description below, as there always is. If you want to follow us on any of the socials, you can see Mr. Kevin on @TheKevinEva, or you can follow him on @LastMinuteContinue if you want the Twitter thing. Yeah, if you're watching us on YouTube, we're at YouTube /C/Last Minute Continue, I want to say. It streams over on twitch.tv/Last Minute Continue. Turbo is at TurboXLR. You can follow him on the streams at twitch.tv/TurboDriveLive or occasionally on the Last Minute Continue page. I am at Titans Creed on the Twitters. You can follow me on there. You can follow me Twitch at twitch.tv/Project Phoenix Productions or youtube.com/Project Phoenix. Thank you very much for watching and or listening. Everything will be on the screen in front of you. I don't know why I needed to say that because it's all there anyway. From me and my wonderful cohorts in crime, we'll see you in probably about a week for Backlash, I guess. Take it easy, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
I was just wondering how long we could go for that.
I was hoping Pete would join in. That was